So homework request first, and if you don't need help on the homework, you could just be looking at number 83. Are red apples and green apples? This is kind of like, I always thought, like when I was younger, like what do teachers do outside of school? And I don't know if I was surprised or not when I became an adult, became a teacher, and was like, yeah, it's not really that interesting. But we were having a debate about what are the best apples. Anyone have really strong opinions on like what's the best? If you're gonna like choose an apple to eat, like Honeycrisp or Fuji or Red Delicious or Granny Smith, there's a ton of types of apples.
I like the red ones.
Like a lot of them are red.
But like
Honeycrisp.
there's this one, I forgot the name, but it's so good. It's like really. Like,
I'm really just killing time while I was making sure everyone was ready to go. Honeycrisp is my favorite, by the way. All right, so red apples and green apples are priced differently because certain apples people like more, and they will charge more for them. Or if that field got hit by a storm and there's less of them, you've heard of supply and demand. At least I hope you've heard of supply and demand. So the apples are not all priced the same. Red apples are $1.20 per pound, and green apples are $1.50 per pound. So this is where you could, I don't care if you actually use X and Y. That's the CPM direction, so I leave those there because if you go to get homework help, it's going to use those directions. But if you wanted to use your own variables that you think make sense, $1.20 for every pound of red apples. So you could use R for red apples if you want, but they ask us to use X. So we're going to say times however many pounds I buy is what that expense is going to be. My green apples are going to be $1.50, but I can't use X again because X was my red apples. So they tell us let's use Y, and then that will tell us our total cost, right? So we could write if we want like equal to cost or whatever you want to say, and then we can fill in 3 pounds of red, 2 pounds of green, and solve it that way. Any other questions? Any other homework questions not about the apple problem? Yes. You gotta tell me which homework you're talking about first.
9.2.1.
Okay.
I was having trouble on number C on like 58, which is right in some proportion to find her Marvel's wingspan, like centimeters.
So.
Hold up, I think. Oh yeah, I was having trouble. Oh wait, hold up, actually. Okay, I think I just figured it out. But there's another one too.
So real quick, because he brought it up, you would set up like model compared to the actual, right? Or actual compared to the model, however you want to build your proportion. But then you need to make sure your units agree across the proportion. So if you have centimeters on top, you got to keep centimeters on top. If you put inches on top, you got to keep inches on top, right? Make sure your labels agree. Carter? Did you have another one? So you said you thought you had another issue. Other homework questions? All right. Let's chat about volumes of non-rectangular prisms, because rectangular prisms are just getting too easy for us, right? Sorry to say the bad word, but like this rectangular prism, if you're asked to find the volume, how do we do it? Yeah, just multiply all the numbers together, right? Just literally 3 times 4 times 5. It really does feel E-word at this point, because boxes are a pretty standard shape. But not every box is a rectangular prism box. I mean, if you're at Amazon, probably every box is a rectangular prism box. But we're looking at this box, and if you want the what the problem is talking about, they're asking which one will hold more seashells, right? Because she's collecting seashells and she wants to put them in a box. So we need to find the volume of this prism. I want you to turn to your neighbor and talk about first, because remember, we know the volume formula as what? What have we said the prism volume formula is? Big B, right, which I kind of put in quotations. Big B times height. So I want you to talk to your neighbor about what is the base here? How can we find big B? Then what does that make the height? And solve your volume. You need to have all that conversation to be able to get the volume. At least you have to have it with yourself. You could have it with your partner, and that sounds more fun. All right, try it. It's on your paper. So you might want to split it up to find your big B. That's really well. That really I was asking like what shape, but it's an awkward. So be careful if you split that and you get triangle. Just double check your triangle formula. I'm not telling you that you're wrong or anything. I'm just saying that's the trap door. We're only really thinking about volume. You can do surface area if you want, but once we get big B, we're kind of done talking about area because this specifically wants us to do volume. Does that make sense? Surface area is just like, I know you guys can find areas. I know we're past that. Kira, what is the shape of our base here? A pentagon. However, most of us are used to pentagons looking like this, right? When somebody says pentagon, you're either thinking of that government building, which looks like this, or you're thinking of a shape that looks like this. This is a regular pentagon, as opposed to just a pentagon. Can look however it wants, right? So please don't get like yourself stuck in the trap of thinking like, oh, if it's a hexagon, it's got to look like this. No, this is a regular hexagon. There's many non-regular hexagons. All right, so our pentagon here. If it was a standard pentagon, we could probably look up a formula. But this is not. So how, Lydia, Lydia's not here. Lila, how did you deal with this pentagon? To find big B. Like, how did you find the area, is what I'm asking.
So I got the space area.
Yeah, how?
Well, I did 6 times 8.
That is not the base. So, I don't know if you were listening when Kira told us what the base is. Kira, what's the base? The pentagon. Why? Why is this actually our base? Madeline? Guys, if I grab this and I set it down like that, the rectangle is not the base. Base does not mean bottom. Base means the shape that has a twin, a partner, a clone on the other end of the shape, connected by rectangles. So this is where we're practicing this. It's good to make mistakes right now. Like if you need to, in your head, flip this up and say, okay, it's standing up like this now instead of like this. But like the base is the pentagon because it's connected then by rectangles. So if we go to find big B, Caroline, what'd you guys do?
So we split the pentagon so it would be C squared and then a triangle.
Yeah, be careful saying square.
Rectangle.
Yeah, because it's not a square. All right, so rectangle section is 6 by. Yeah, so this is 6 by 5. Okay, well that part's not bad. Kyrie, what next? Sorry, what? We're not ready yet. We don't have the whole big B. We only did this rectangle so far. How'd you figure out 4? Hey, look up here. Make sure that you did what Kyrie's describing. There's a 5 back here. There was a 9 up here. So 9 minus the 5 that we already used. This height is 4. So our triangle, as Kyrie was saying, was 4. Hello? Hi, I'm trying to write here. Hello? 4 times Crap, not 5. 6. I think you said 6. My brain just did it wrong. But because it's a triangle,
You divide it by 2.
divided by 2 or half or however you want to think about it, you got to do half somewhere. All right, what's 6 times 5?
30.
30. 6 times 4, then half of that.
12.
12. And our total volume here is? Our total volume here is?
42.
52.
42 squared.
42
I
times
don't.
8.
I don't know what they're called. Feet or inches?
Ooh, sorry. My bad. I said volume. I'm looking for what's our total big B when we put it together. My bad. I said volume. That's why some of you are looking at me weird. Big B is 42.
Squared.
Squared of whatever.
What does this symbol mean?
I don't know.
No! It's inches! Guys, this is also why we're practicing, to keep reviewing and making sure that you understand those symbols and things. Now, awkward. Now, Madeline, what do I do with my big B? And the height here is not how tall the object is. What's the height? It's the 8. Because it's what connects the bases to each other. Our height is 8. So now we can do 42 times 8, and we get a volume of, ooh, inches cubed. Sorry, what was the number you said? Questions on how we got this? Your label is imperative. On the mastery, that is on Tuesday. To say this again, because I don't know how people keep getting surprised. I'm gone on Tuesday. I have my heart appointment that happens every single year. It's real fun.
I have
They
one of those too.
do a bunch of scans on me, and then they say, everything's the same as it was. And I go, here's a bunch of money. Getting old sucks.
Sometimes
But, so I won't be here Tuesday. The easiest thing to do is just have the sub give you a test. We're doing Jenga tomorrow. We'll maybe do Jenga Monday. I've got a lesson planned, but maybe we'll figure out how to do like half and half on Tuesday. And your test says this, that your labels matter. When you're doing circle math, like circumference versus area. One is going to be units, one is going to be units squared. Right? If we do anything with volume, it's going to be units cubed. Right? Units matter. If it's not all the way right, it's not necessarily wrong, but it's not all the way right. So you've got to include your units, no naked numbers.
So it's like the dimension you're in is how much you put the number. So it's like if you're in the 3rd dimension, you put it cubed.
I mean, I agree, except when I'm painting something, I'm painting in the 3D world, but the paint I'm using is inches squared. So, like, I agree with what you're saying, but, like, there's no escaping the 3D world.
Yeah, when you're solving for like your shape.
Has anyone in here ever heard of flatland? We already talked about this in this class. Flatland is, do you want to explain what it is, like 30 seconds real quick?
Basically, it's no, you explain.
So it is a novella from the 80s, and a novella means like a small novel that talks about what if the whole like universe you lived in was flat, and your rank in society. Dang it, did somebody borrow it? I'll bring it back. Your rank in society is explained by your shape. So I have multiple copies of Sphereland over here, which is like the sequel to it. I don't know where my copy of Flatland went, but if you're interested, it's kind of like an up here sort of story because it's all like what if. So you can't. It's like hard to think like. It's even weirder than thinking like Harry Potter type when you're reading that book because like what if we were all just shapes? Like what if you were all triangles because you're low ranking, and I'm like a pentagon because I'm slightly higher ranking, but the highest rank is a circle, right? It's a very interesting thought experiment sort of thing. Kind of Mr. Ecstasy, if you ask me. Kind of Mr. Ecstasy. Oh yeah, I copied this over here to have more space to do work. Let's try this one that is not on your paper, but I want to make sure that we can do at least one more before I tell you, like, all right, you're good, do your own thing. So try this one. You might want to copy it down onto your graph paper that you definitely have, since graph paper is an everyday need. start by discussing what's your base here.
Oh, the base is yes. Trapezoid.
Or are you thinking of rhombus?
No, not
Trapezoid?
the weird shade in the front. That's what
Yeah.
they're all connected by rectangles.
Let's make sure we're all in agreement. What's the base up here? The front, top, bottom, left, right, what is it?
front.
The front, right? This, it's still a quadrilateral, right? Because it's still got four sides, but this face, or I guess you could call the back one, but this one we can see. This face, that is our big B. So please make sure that you are trying to calculate the area of that as your big B.
So, just kind of do it, you know? I think we need 30 minus 25 so that we can get the base of the triangle over there. Right?
If we get more specific about this quadrilateral, what sort of quadrilateral is it? It's quadrilateral. Be careful. It only has four sides.
Trap.
Hey guys, look up here. Sorry about the tape. I broke this. Trapezoid. That shape is a trapezoid because it is a quadrilateral that is not a rectangle. Most of those end up being trapezoids. The biggest thing is that your bottom and top are parallel to each other. So since we can see right angles, we know it's a trapezoid. Why the trapezoid formula is what it is any trapezoid, and I know this one's not the same as this, can be broken and formed back into a rectangle. So I need you to imagine with this trapezoid up here, imagine cutting off this triangle, like start in the middle, cut that triangle off, flip it up here, right? This is why the formula for trapezoid turns into what it is. Now, we could break this up, rectangle, triangle, or let's practice the trapezoid formula. So what it actually is, anyone remember it? Oh, I'd be real. Yeah, I like to do the division by 2 there, because what we're really doing is saying if I cut this and move it, and this extends out a bit farther, that 25 gets bigger, the 38 gets smaller, so let's go ahead and calculate that. So 25, 38, divide that by 2. And then what's the, guys be careful, it's like we're getting into really difficult math. There are multiple heights that we're going to talk about here. The height of the trapezoid is what? 12, right? Because how tall is the trapezoid? That's going to be 12. So think this through with me. 25 plus 38, 50, 63. Oh, that sucks. It's odd. 63 divided by 2? Oh, come on, you guys. Yeah, 31 and a half. So guys, imagine this top got longer to 31 and a half. The bottom got shorter to 31 and a half. Now we made a rectangle. That times the height.
Sally Olivieri, please report to the Perry main office for dismissal. Sally Olivieri to the Perry office for dismissal, please.
315 plus another 63. Thank you. 378 feet. Careful, this is our big B, right? So that's only feet squared. Any questions on how we did the trapezoid area? If you break it and do rectangle, triangle, you should get the same thing. Any questions? This is the awkward teacher late time. Then, what's the height of our prism? Yeah, because it's what's connecting the front to the back, or your two bases together, because we said the front is our one base. So it's what's connecting your bases together, that length of 10. So we're going to do this times 10. And our volume comes out to be
3,780 feet cubed.
Thank you.
You're copying.
It's warming my heart to hear like feet cubed, feet cubed, feet cubed. The labels matter. Questions? Work on your homework.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Guys, I know I gave you 2 assignments on Tuesday, but I told you guys semester 1 we run to get through the 7th grade content. Semester 2 we slow down a little bit because things are tough. Like this is getting difficult. I want you to have time.
Okay, this is done.
Thanks.
2.2. No.
Thanks.
Any problems that immediately look really tough that you'd like to go over together? Hey guys, just by the way, I think you can figure it out, but when we talk about the volume of a 1 unit high layer, like we did yesterday with the cookies, that's really just still big B, right? But then you got to change your label. But if it's only 1 unit high, it's really still going to be the same number as your big B. You know, I need clarification on writing your answers in terms of pi. I don't need any clarification on that. You just don't change pi into 3.14. You keep it pi. All right. I'm really hoping that this lets us all start semester 2 really strong. Even though 924 is not due tomorrow, turn it in if you want. If it's done, turn it in. If your work that's due this week is all done already, feel free to turn that in. Like, turn in whatever you want. Oh, I have a couple things to get back from what people turned in yesterday. Now, you turned in 923. I didn't grade it yet because I didn't have any other place to grade, so I'll get those back tomorrow. I don't want to hear anyone whining to other teachers about I was doing math. I gave you guys more homework time this week.